I can see you. Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning. Welcome everyone to another Telehealth Today.net meeting. Today is Monday, September 9th. I am James Hongs, the founder. And as always, we have a speaker to introduce you to and show you how she can help you and help you grow in your business and personal life development journey. And once again, October 1st, the new website will be out there. And November 1st, we are launching. We will be live. If you want to be involved, go to telehealthtoday.net, go to contact us, and write a message saying you want to be involved, and someone will reach out to you. But it is my pleasure to introduce you, without further ado, to Ms. Violet Benson, a digital strategist. It is a pleasure to have you here, Violet. Thank you for being here. The stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for organizing this, James. And thank you for inviting me to speak, Dr. Renner. Super excited to be here. Always happy to share my expertise with everyone. So without further ado, I will just go right into what I'll be discussing today. So yeah, everyone, I'm a digital strategist and I'm coming to talk about telehealth for today. But before I start, the name is kind of self-explanatory, but most people keep asking me, as a digital strategist, what do you do? What's a digital strategist all about? And so I'll just share that with you quickly, before talking about my experience in telemedicine. Yeah, so as a digital strategist, I help brands, I help businesses, I help people basically with processes, right? So if it's a marketing process, an idea process, um, whatever that is, planning, organization. So basically someone who looks at the data of stuff. Um, for example, what was your ROI like for the previous month? Or how many followers do you have? Or like what happened this morning with a friend who called me up and they're like, oh, they're supposed to be getting an opportunity with a strategic partner, but they weren't really sure if the offer was being fair to them. And I just quickly helped to give them a good strategy. And this is usually a combination of, it's not just telling you what to do, it's telling you the best possible scenario for the best possible solution for a particular scenario. And so I helped her out with that. I just explained to her what she should do in that event. Sometimes it has to do with managing people's psychological responses, because this is mostly the big part of marketing, right? And as a digital strategist, it's my job to make sure that I'm helping to manage that as well. And yeah, things went on smoothly and it was so thematic for this event. So yeah, I help businesses and healthcare products or professionals or business or like startups succeed online. And my approach is mostly centered around, like I said, understanding the brand's unique needs. And then, okay, let me give a clear example so I don't throw around buzzwords, right? For this morning, it was about strategic partnerships, like I said. And since I'm someone who organizes and speaks at events as well, I'm also on the event scene. And this friend of mine has a business and she's supposed to be given a spot with a strategic partner, and this is supposed to help with more visibility. Now, the problem with her was what was attached to the offer, and it wasn't favorable. It was to help the brand to it's a gated event, so you have to sell tickets. And so what the brand was basically asking them to do was help to sell these tickets without giving any commission or anything whatsoever. And it wasn't really major event. It was going to be a side event. So she wasn't going to get as much of the visibility that she was hoping for, and she was going to work too much for the spot. And so her first idea was to just get out of the deal. And then she was like, "Oh, why don't I reach out to Violet?" And so the solution we came up with was, okay, do the best that you can, because the fear was, and this is how complicated things can be sometimes, and which is why you need a digital strategist, because it's not always as easy. Obviously, like with every business, it comes a point where you have to make certain decisions, and those decisions are mostly made based off of analysis, psychographics, etc., etc., all of this data, and you know, depending on your niche, depending on your position, as a new brand or a big brand, it all depends on what position you're in. So in this case, we decided that it was for this person's best interest to was in this person's best interest to be on that event, but how to optimize it so they don't work for free, essentially, was we saying that, okay, why don't we leverage people from your community? Now, if you have a target for tickets, um, and we asked each of the active community members. I first asked her, "Oh, what's your community member like?" And she told me. And I said, "How many people are active in your community?" And she told me. And I was like, "Okay, can you reach out to the responsive and active ones and then get them to promote, basically?" So we're using members of the community as micro promoters of micro influencers. And that just helps. That reduced the stress for her. And it also meant she didn't miss out this opportunity, right? So it can get complex or it can be easy. It all depends on the situation, like I said, that you're in. Um, so yeah. Um, so before we dive in, we're already diving in, but um, I would want everyone listening to this right now to try to understand your pain points, because that was one of the things that was frustrating for this person, right? And once again, I am so glad that happened this morning, because it's like a fresh experience for me to come here and talk. And I asked her, the first question I asked was, "What's your goal?" Right? What's your goal for your event in this case? In other cases, what's your goal for your a particular campaign? Yes, for business, obviously it's for sales, but there are different funnels in the marketing in the marketing campaign or in your strategy. There are different funnels, right? And each of those funnels have their specified goals. And that was the question I asked. And she said, "You know what? I didn't really think about it. Like, I didn't have a specific goal. I just, want a platform where people can come and get aware about my community." And I'm like, okay, that's the first mistake, right? So I want you guys to understand that identifying your pain points or your goals are one of the most important things to starting a good strategy for your brand, especially in telehealth, right? I mean, what are the biggest challenges in telehealth? The fact that most people feel like it's not quote unquote real consultation if it's not face to face in real life, or the fact that I mean, there's so many issues or challenges in telehealth. Some people might say, and this is one of the biggest excuses. People would say, "Oh, they prefer one-on-one sessions. They prefer to see people one-on-one, see a doctor one-on-one. They prefer to have the routine checks, even if they're just dealing through something that's not physical, something mental, like anxiety, for example. But they would still probably want to be asking things like, "Oh, shouldn't I get my temperature checked? Shouldn't I get my blood pressure checked?" And these are itty bitty things, but there are also some challenges in telehealth, because ultimately it affects the decision of the consumer, right? So we need to identify these challenges so that we can come up with the solutions. Some challenges could be in telehealth, could be maybe struggling with patient engagements, right? I mean, if you want to see the dentist or the doctor or anything, you make an appointment, you know that, okay, fine, you're going to leave the house or you're going to do this. But sometimes engaging online can seem very seamless for people. Like, oh, it's just on my phone or on my PC, and therefore I do not have to kind of make out time to engage. I can always check in, right? So that's the mindset that might be a big challenge in the telehealth industry, right? So how to do that, how to go, how to fix that, right? And also things like marketing, you know, how do I get people to use my telehealth products as a practitioner? How do I get people to come online and talk to me as a healthcare professional and talk about their day? Um, why should I get them to understand the benefits or something like that? So it's pretty simple, although not as simple as well in the execution. It's not that simple, but the solution is, you know, basically creating this experience for them that is not the same with a generic online experience, right? Because if there's one thing that most busy professionals or most of the people that would want to be using telehealth services are trying to avoid, it is being on tele products, right? And that is their phones, their tablets. Because when they're dealing with stuff, they just want as much less screen time as possible, right? So making the experience different from the everyday interaction and engagement with people is one way to market your services as a telehealth practitioner. Um, I recall a particular program because I work with I'm like because of my innovative my innovative interests in Web3, AI, etc. Right? I've just been lucky enough to work with like really professional and really gifted people in the telehealth space who are looking to give their clients a different experience. Like I recall working with Charlene from the university. She built a space for um, Dr. Legrand. So this is a doctor who owns um, an offline clinic, and she also wanted to like expand on her clientele base, and she wanted an online consulting office on online clinic, but not just, you know, how do you have an online clinic, right? People just go on the website, it looks boring, it doesn't look very engaging, and there are tons of things like that. It's off-putting, you know. So she was really thinking about these things, so she came to us, and we decided to do a metaverse clinic for her patients, right? So it's a very gamified experience where people just log on their PCs and they have this avatar that represents them, so it keeps them engaged, right? You're not just scrolling. Usually when you just scroll on your phone, you just, you know, scroll. But now you have an avatar that you can play with, you can move, and you can, you know, just find the office with. And so it made things more engaging for people. Plus, it's a whole experience coming online and in a 3D space, talking to a doctor, reaching out to other people, and just hanging out. Basically, that's something that so many people thought was fun and that even helped with, you know, their mental health overall. So that was one of the experiences. So the grant wanted to create an immersive experience for these patients. So yeah, we did a comprehensive digital strategy that included interactive 3D environments. We're talking working up to a receptionist, right? Even if it's a bot, but it was that much interactive. There was virtual reality therapy sessions with the doctor and personalized avatars. And also the integration with the space that was used, you could get access to like um other brands, other things. So it was really fun to build, and it was really engaging for people. I think the result was like a 40% increase in patient engagement online. Before, people online just reached out passively, but when she launched, it shot up to like about 40%, which is huge, which is massive, right? And she got a lot of bookings. So yeah, that's one very big experience that kind of ties in not just digital strategy campaigns or best practices, but also innovative tech that fits in with the modern day problems, right? These days, people are looking for, like I said, other experiences. So yeah, that's one of the things we did. So today we'll be focusing on three major areas that helped us to kind of decide on what to build for Dr. Legrand. And even for it even helps with brands that are not really keen on building on innovative tech like the metaverse or something. But that can help with, promoting the brand and really getting in some visibility and hopefully sales, right? So yeah, the one thing is about getting an online presence that attracts and retains patients, right? Like we talk about this all the time, getting an online presence, something compelling. And sometimes it might seem like just making a post. Yeah, I open a social media account and that's it. Just go to my website and that's it. No, that's unfortunately it doesn't end there. If we were in 2003, maybe that would fly. This is 2024 and people's attention span have gotten shorter. Um, and it takes quite a lot more to stimulate people's interest, which is why we keep on coming up with innovative tech or coming up with um, these solutions that are out of the box, right? Um, so these include things like good website design. Like when we mean good, like good, right? And yes, a good website design might be pricey these days, but you can explore with AI generated platforms, right? These platforms give you a very timely, um, very nice looking interface, right? And even if it's not so artistic or extravagant, right? It's mostly the experience. And that's one of the things that people are big on these days, vibes and experiences. So these things really matter when you're talking about your strategy, right? It's not so much as what you're offering these days. There are competitors in the field, but how you're offering it these days, right? So yeah, that's one. Another one is content creation, right? If you make generic bland posts, it's no surprise if it doesn't really go viral or if people don't really resonate with it or if they think you're just, you know, echoing something on the internet, right? So it's important to put in efforts into like content creation. What's your hook like? Does this sound like something that was written by an AI? Like everybody knows, basically everybody uses AI these days, but nobody wants to feel like they're being fed sloppy AI content, right? If anything, people want to feel like, oh, there's some effort being put into what you're offering to me, right? And so yeah, you need to make sure that your content efforts are compelling. It's something that can drag them in. If you have a telehealth service and you're helping people, maybe you're a hypnotherapist, um, I know someone who's a hypnotherapist and also a writer, and so it helps her so much. Um, and it's more how you maybe craft your offers. It's not like hey, we're closing soon, blah blah blah. Come here and get your one-on-one session with me. You have to make people feel like they really should be getting that session with just you, right? And usually in content creation, I would advise as a good strategy to use storytelling, like how I use the storytelling with Dr. Legrand here, to try to tell you guys, give you guys like an actual vivid picture. That's the beauty of stories. They give you a vivid picture of, you know, uh, kind of like a representative of the buzzwords, right? Um, so yeah, storytelling in your content is important. You're a hypnotherapist, for example, and you're trying to sell your services. And maybe you start with a story that talks about the previous patient, um, or uh something you've dealt with in the past that was difficult or that you found absurd or that was just really, really outstanding. Or maybe just your first experience or something very relatable. And that could be like how you craft the content, right? And then social media marketing, when you put this content together, you have to really understand how to distribute that content, all right? If you're posting about stuff, for example, this event, um, uh, because yeah, you would mostly be doing things like webinars to get people to understand who you are as a practitioner, before like booking for your services or something, right? And if you're trying to promote that event or session or whatever, you need to pay attention to the elements of social media that would help take your message far. For example, and this is me trying to use storytelling to just prove a point, right? While I was doing the promotions for this post, I had to share across different social media. And it's every social media has their limitations, have their different tools, have, you know, just different ways that they operate. And if you're posting on LinkedIn, you have the link. If you're posting on your WhatsApp status, for example, you can't really post 3,000 characters, I think, or it wouldn't be optimal to do that. So, usually what would be expected and what I do is I post a long form post that really talks about the story, not so long, but long enough to connect. Because yeah, it's not everything that has to be short form. Some long form posts, if written correctly, can really connect with people. And then doing that and having to share on a social media platform that doesn't support long form content means shrinking that and using a clickbait sentence and then adding the link, not the link to the actual event. So now it's kind of like a funnel. This is digital strategy 101, right? Um, so yeah, it's kind of like a funnel, but in this case, you you are just because they're looking at the caption and it's something so short and they're like, what are you even talking about? And then there's a link to the main post that talks about this, not just the post to register, because you haven't connected enough with them. That one clickbait post isn't enough, all right? It's confusing. And then they go to the long form post on LinkedIn, view what you have to say, understand you better, and depending on what strategies you use for your content, um, they now say, you know what, I'd like to attend this event, and then they register for the link, and then if you're using a platform like, um, let's say Instagram, for example, that doesn't even let you attach links to posts, but you have to use links in bios or comment prompts, right? Where they're like, oh, comment telehealth and you'll get the link to the post in the DMs. That's a different strategy. That's a different strategy for marketing. So knowing all these things is important, but obviously it's a lot. That's why people like me exist to like do all the thinking, all the streaming and plotting and strategizing. But ultimately, these are the things that should be present in your telehealth business because come on, communications is a big part of this industry. Now, imagine a patient entering a virtual waiting room, maybe like the Zoom or like a metaverse, and they're greeted by a personalized avatar or like a short Loom video or something recorded. And we can create similar experiences like that on these are traditional, digital platforms, right? Like WhatsApp, for example. If it's a WhatsApp group, maybe you're just too busy or you're not so quote unquote techie to set up avatars and all of that. You just want something fast. You want to grow with the brand. You just want to set up something fast and you want to put out a WhatsApp group, something like on the description. And this is something else. If it's a Telegram group, you know that the post, no matter when people join, they can always see a video. But on a WhatsApp group, they don't have that access to previous messages. So rather than just posting that, new people joining the group who don't have access, you take the link, to maybe a YouTube video and you post that in the description instead and prompt people when they join the group, oh, please watch this video before doing anything in this group, for example, just a short message. And they go and it's an introduction to your business and they're really getting to know you and they're curious right now. So you at least have gotten them on that chokehold and they're willing to give 5 minutes to your intro video on YouTube or anything. And then they're like, okay, this sounds interesting. I'm going to engage with this brand, right? So these are different digital strategy methods for both innovative platforms and traditional platforms, but all digitally, of course, because this industry is centered on, online communications. Um, so yeah, like I said, I have my interests passionately in innovative tech like Web3, blockchain, and AI to enhance patient experience and outcomes. Um, so if this is something that any one of you are looking to explore, I would really recommend that because for Web3, it can help you save data, right? I mean, imagine BlackRock bought out this news you heard about it since, but they bought out major DNA company, right? And most people were like, oh, why are they buying that? Is it for data? And most people aren't really comfortable about it, even if it's not, I mean, come on, the data on that isn't something that might put someone behind bars, but people are usually very conservative about the use of their data, right? So imagine as a telehealth brand, you put this as one of your unique selling points. You're like, look, you don't need to, we're not selling your data here. You have access to your data. Here's your data on, technology like the blockchain. It's saved permanently, but nobody would have access to it if they don't have a specific key or, access that you have to give, right? Now, like I said, this is innovative tech, so it can get a little bit too techy here. But yeah, there are no code solutions, different solutions for you to automate things like this and secure, the data usage of your clients. And that way they're like, you know what? I'm not going to use these big brands. I'm going to use this person who values my privacy. And that could be your offering as a small or startup telehealth brand. And then for AI, I've already, shown the use of metaverse and avatars and all of that. But AI can help with like, you know, constructive feedback, and it can also help automate your process. Because this is something online, it means that you would be attracting clients from different locations, right? So what happens when, for example, it's like 6:30 here and it's like morning elsewhere, right? So what happens when it's 12 a.m., you're sleeping, but a client desperately needs your help? You can integrate AI into your process, right? Um, so I like to give examples so that we don't get tied in buzzwords. So let's say I'll use myself as an example. Sometimes I deal with like crippling anxiety because of the things I have to do. And let's say I just need assurance. I just need someone to just tell me, oh, this is, remember to do this, remember to breathe, remember to do that. I might not necessarily need someone to give me a rocket science advice, right? Sometimes I just have to remember, or when you're stressed, just take a deep breath or take a walk. And it usually helps if I remember, right? And let's say I'm subscribed to a telehealth program and it's 12 a.m. here, or it's 10 a.m. here. I have a meeting by 11 o'clock and I need my health practitioner, but it's 2 a.m. and they're asleep. But I go onto the platform that the telehealth practitioner uses and I talk to their AI bot or the AI nurse or the AI practitioner or the AI trained version of this telehealth practitioner. So for like let's say consultants like Dr. Werner now, if he's unavailable, but he has an AI that has been trained through all of his sessions or trained using all of the materials that he has and that he uses with his clients, then that AI can be able to give me sound advice um, that can kind of compensate for what he would have given me in real life. Now, remember, as a client, I'm subscribed for like maybe a month, and that isn't the only time that I need Dr. Winner's help. But that is probably the time that I need it. And in my head, I feel like, oh my God, I really wish he was awake right now. Um, but if someone else or like, the AI is there to represent him, and I can ask questions, I can say, oh, this is what I'm dealing with. And he asks me questions. And this is something I've used like recently with one of my health apps as well. They asked me some questions, some prompts, and I answered, and it just resulted to like a bunch of conclusions. And I'm like, and it really helps to bring certain things into perspective, even if it wasn't 100% accurate, right? So yeah, this is an example of how AI can be used to enhance patient experience and outcomes. So the next time that I'm saying that health practitioner or consultant, I already know I'm like, oh, the other day I needed your help, but I'm not feeling flustered. I'm not feeling frustrated, which is usually what a consumer feels like. I paid for this, I paid for 1 month session, I should be getting 247 um customer service or something, right? And your AI does that. Next time you're speaking to doctor, you can tell him, oh, okay, this is what I was dealing with the previous time. Or he already has that. Maybe when he wakes up in the morning, the AI prompts him, oh, this is what happened the previous night. And this is blah, blah, blah. He already has the script. He already has everything. And then he prompts you, he's like, oh, I noticed that you were dealing with this by 2 a.m. This, do you still want to talk about it? You see how this improves the experience. I'm like, wow, so you knew that I was dealing with this. Yes, I want to talk about it now. And thank God you're available now, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, they may just want someone to talk to you. Which is usually the case with me. But I know at that point, as someone who uses, you know, telehealth platforms like this, I would feel really grateful and loyal to this program, right? And yeah, these are examples of things like that. AI-powered chatbots, can help with this. Personalized medication reminders. For example, for someone like me, I need reminders to drink water, for example, or take a walk or something. And imagine it coming every day. It's just ringing like an actual alarm. That's the beauty of experiences like AI powered, right? And you're asking people, oh, do you want it to be like an alarm, or you just want it to be a notification? And like people like me are like, no, I need an alarm. I need something to like take my attention off of what I'm doing and just focus on this particular thing. And it rings and it's like, oh, drink water. That's something that would make me a loyal fan and continuous subscriber of a program like this. Just like in Metaverse, for example, to improve patient engagement. We did things like that, getting them all fired up. It's like an adventure, mental health adventure. Oh, going into the Metaverse and then looking for the clinic and just walking, in pixels in a 3D space, looking really nice. These are just things that people really liked, right? We got feedback, and these are also things that AI powered systems can help you get feedback as long as you set the systems for them. So yeah, these are things that help. So I think the next thing we'll be discussing is um developing an effective marketing strategy to reach and engage your ideal audience. I mean, imagine setting up all of these things, leveraging innovative tech, and doing all these things that maybe sound a bit complicated now, but when you're done setting it up, it's a no-brainer. Like, oh wow, people are going to use this. We're not doing effective marketing to reach your targeted audience. What a waste, right? Um, so we can create targeted social media ads, um, and influencer partnerships as consultants or as telehealth practitioners to get people to, you know, see what we're offering, right? It's one thing to have a good product And I think this is a saying that I've seen somewhere around. It's a marketing saying that you can have a good product, um, but if you have bad marketing, then you're not going to do well. And then someone with a bad product but with good marketing, um, is probably going to do better than because marketing is, getting your business. Marketing is essentially getting your business in front of everyone, right? Or getting your voice heard by everyone, whatever the case may be. It's it's just all about telling people, people hearing, people knowing, people hearing, people knowing. Now, depending on how that message is packaged in the form of your product offering or your service offering or something, um, now determines your conversion rate, right? But ultimately, the more people who know about your business, the more your chances increase for it making sales. Even if it means getting reviews like, oh, you're not getting any sales because XYZ. Maybe everyone's saying, oh, we need this particular thing. At least you're getting feedback. You're like, okay, fine. And then you fix that. And then you're like, oh, finally, now I can use the product, right? But you can't know these things if you're not doing effective marketing for them. So like I said, as consultants or practitioners, it's important to create targeted social media or things like influencer partnership. Like there are different ways for marketing. We've identified content creation and all that. But for digital strategy, it goes beyond that now. You're seeing things like strategic partnerships, or even peer partnerships, collaborations with fellow people who maybe have been in the space and you want to leverage their platform. And then in exchange, you do a service for them, like the instance I was giving earlier. So yeah, things like this can help to promote your business, right? Um, Ultimately, things like I said, influencer partnerships are also good. And under influencer partnerships, there are different tiers, right? This isn't the case of spending hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands on influencers. Could also be leveraging micro influencers. People will talk about health, mindfulness, depending on what you're offering, right? Reaching out to them and getting them to spread the word. Now, they're already talking about that, so they have a specific target audience. And this target audience could be your next client, right? So why not leverage them? And the beauty about these people is these micro influencers is depending on how the offers are, it could be a kind of collaboration, or you could pay much less than if you were going to the big influencers, right? But you're ultimately getting good results, which is sales and social proof that people like this trust and believe in your product. So you can use strategies like this to like kill two, three birds with one stone, or mark two, three milestones with one action. Um, so yeah, that's the thing. So I'm not sure if there's so much to talk about. I wish I could be getting questions now so I can respond to them. But ultimately, the thing with digital strategy, um, in marketing, but specifically for this niche, is the fact that it is essential. It is super, super essential to like getting you what your expected outcome is. Now, if you're hoping to grow 300 followers, for example, for your social media, right? Maybe you're not getting into sales yet, you just want awareness. You need a digital strategy for that. And I mean, depending on the factors that are at play, imagine if one of the factors is the fact that you have a limited budget, so you can't really go and start throwing money at ads right away. Um, and so you need to really maximize whatever you do with your ad spend. So now that means you have to make up for it in organic marketing. You have to start thinking out of the box, right? How do I do this? So there are different ways, all depending on what's trending. For example, on Instagram, what's trending is comment marketing. It's something I recently found out. For the past 3 days, I've had a comment that semi blew up to like 50, 60,000 reactions. And within the past few months, I've been leveraging that and I've gotten ultimately over like 100K reactions on just random comments I've been dropping on random posts, right? Now, as a telehealth practitioner, this is essential to get people to reach out to you for basically free. This is organic marketing. And this is something I used recently last month to for my ghostwriting session, right? I was hosting a ghostwriting session trying to teach people how to write for businesses and how to write for brands, yada yada, etc. And it all started from okay, it all started from the space. People were talking about how they weren't really earning that much and they would like to have skills, transferable skills like this, or skills that would help them earn an extra income. And then I was still thinking about that when I stumbled on a post. It wasn't even in my niche. That's the funny thing. I think it was a mother's page, a page for mothers. And it was just one post about someone who was sharing her experience as a ghostwriter and how it has helped her um, as a single mom to just make ends meet. Um, So I noticed that a lot of the women on the post were talking about how they're struggling with either their current business and how they want to pivot to something online, or how they would like to learn this particular set of skills, content, ghostwriting, content creation, etc. And that post had so many reactions. So what I did was, and I wish I could share the screenshots here, but I just listened to the story and then I crafted out a very, very intentional comment. I just crafted it out, talked about my experience and my background as a content creator, how I pivoted from content to copywriting because I wanted to make an impact, and then ghostwriting and then direct response copywriting, and how writing isn't just as simple as it appears. It's not hard, but it's not just a no-brainer, right? Even if you're using prompts, you have to be strategic about the words, the phrases, the tone, the style, the voice, things like that. And, I just kind of explained these things casually and told people how I've been teaching this class for quite some time now. And yeah, I just talked about the program and that was all. And I said people should send me a DM if they were interested. In less than 24 hours, I got over 200 inquiries for that one thing that took me 15 minutes to set up. In 15 minutes, I had set up an account to receive payments for the class. And then I set up a flyer. I just went on Canva and did something. And then I used AI to help me draft the post after I just scribbled something. I was like, oh, I want to speak to women like this, single moms, or like mothers who are in, you know, situations where they can't fend for themselves, or women who are looking to just make some extra cash, blah, blah, blah. And then AI got that. And, from the strategy, I had to tell AI, oh, make it sound this way, make it sound that way. I edited it by myself and I just posted it. And that was it. And I asked them to use a particular word when they reach out to me. I said, say, just text me ghostwriting. And that was how I set up a funnel. Next morning, I woke up and saw over 200 and something requests. It was a paid class, by the way. And obviously, there were some things that were wrong, and I went back to check it. But like over 50% of those people went through the funnel seamlessly. Just said the word ghostwriting a a pre-written text that I'd written, and then they saw what I was offering, they saw the link, and then I just slept and I woke up and that was it, you know. And sometimes it can be easy to set these things up, but thinking about the strategy can seem overwhelming. Like, oh, do I really want to use this? Do I really want to do that? I would say just make the plan, something that works. And then when you wake up or go back to check your funnel, you can then fix all the issues that were bad. For example, one of the issues I struggled with was the fact that some people could not send me DM because of certain settings. And then I just fixed that, right? So you can see that digital strategy um can be a whole campaign on its own, but it ultimately helps you to get the best results because you're not just doing things out of the textbook. The textbook helps you see, like, okay, this is the direction you should be going, but it doesn't really give you a vehicle, right? It could be, say, oh, the next city is how many kilometers away, um, but it's up to you whether or not you want to use a bicycle, a bus, a car, or a plane to get there. Um, so yeah, that's the beauty of digital strategy. Um, yeah, I think that is that is all I have to share for today. If there's any of you that wants to know more about digital strategy and essentially how to set that up for your business, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can just see my calendar and we can just book a session and just have a chat about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And so are you are you ready for a few questions?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know who else has some. I did write a couple down. I guess my first one, okay, you talked about AI powered chatbots, you talked about setting reminders, storytelling. Do you have resources for this stuff, or do you basically tell people what to develop and have them integrate it themselves, or do you have your own methodology in going after certain things that would assist in business owners?
Okay, like I said, they are basically textbook lists to like follow for a strategy. The whole doing something online and you're reaching out to different audiences and all that. So I work with both. Essentially using these systems in place. For example, using ChatGPT to working with people and using ChatGPT to kind of like understand uh their business better, but basically fine tuning it by myself from my understanding and with the data that I gather. So it's a process using both methods.
Very good. And what would you say your go-to strategy is, or your first, when someone says they want more bookings, like do you really just analyze their business and give them a unique tailor-fitted strategy, or is there like a go-to that you just think is really crucial that always seems to help your people?
Okay. There's never just one particular thing. Um, it's usually tailored. It's usually tailored because people are, like I said, people are dealing with different factors. Some might have the budget for it, but not the technical know-how. Some might have the technical know-how, but not the budget for it. And so different strategies have to work in each of those cases. So we work together. I have the template. The only Bridget template is like a questionnaire so that I can understand the business more. And everybody should do this, right? Have a checklist. Who am I reaching out to? What am I, what's their persona like? What would I like for them to do? How much are they earning? All the important questions that, you know, are attached to your offering. And that's it.
It's good. Anyone else have? Okay, Dimitri.
Hi, Violet. Yes, I have a question
Hi.
for you. My idea is when utilizing social media postings, I would like to have it linked back to my website, and on my website having this resource library where there's like articles, videos, and maybe interactive content. What are some strategies regarding that, where a social media post may link back to a resource library? Is that useful?
Yeah, totally. That's useful. Um, that's kind of like backlinks for content. Uh, so what you do is essentially, like I said, find out what the platform is like and how you can integrate those things. For example, for platforms like LinkedIn, you can just put a link, and when they're done reading whatever you post, if it's a short form post, they can get access. If it's a medium, whatever. Um, Another thing is maybe, and this is me kind of just developing on this idea right now, is maybe rather than just a link to your website, like having a YouTube video, because that's another channel where you can get people that's off of like even your website or anything, right? So that's also connecting with them because people are used to being on YouTube longer than random websites. So if your content is on a post, they can just happen to stumble on that, and it'll save you SEO costs and strategies and all of that. Because, you could be potentially having another revenue stream.
All right, thank you.
All right.
I see Warner.
Yes, I have also a couple of questions, but maybe as a follow-up question also to Dimitri, because this is also very interesting for me. I learned that on LinkedIn, it's not always perfect to have a link out of LinkedIn, right? So have a backlink to our own web page or to YouTube or whatever. So I work a lot with the comment section, so I make the link in the comments. But I want to go further. So what is your experience or your suggestion as a strategist? How can I connect different social media? What is the best strategy in healthcare to connect different social media on web page and yeah to still not be punished by the algorithm, because every platform wants to keep the people inside the platform, right? So how
Yeah.
can we connect and at the same time involve different platforms? So what is your strategy for this or your suggestion?
Okay. So first of all, I would suggest distributing content on the platforms that people use to receive that sort of content, if that makes sense. So for LinkedIn, normally people use that to get content on things regarding their career. Other things could be side quests, right? But ultimately, platforms like Instagram or TikTok are now the go-to platforms for, and this is from several posts I've seen, um, for information on healthcare, how to do this, how to do that, etc. So this is usually if people want to just find out random things, they don't want to go online, they don't want something boring, they just go on Instagram. They'll see a very catchy video talking about it, or TikTok if they use TikTok. And so now this changes your strategy completely because it changes the kind of content you have to post to appeal to that platform. But then essentially, if people are going there for that solution and your solution is on that platform, then the algorithm seems to fire at you.
Thank you. I think what I've just realized is LinkedIn can be like utilized for postings regarding continuing education, because as you mentioned, that's career oriented, business oriented. So that can be used for continuing education and professional development and things like that. But the other platforms, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, for the most part, that can be used for the end users, like the clients. I think that's how it's split. But Werner, he brought up an important point about algorithms. So if I post a link in the post directly, that's going to cause me to be punished by the algorithm. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, I think that's what he's trying to say.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
understood.
which is why it's not advisable to rely on just one platform with its algorithms and its punishments, right?
Mm.
Because if you're doing things in different areas, you might not necessarily need to share a link. This time it could be sharing the actual video on YouTube and promoting that video, snippets of it on TikTok or Instagram, and then you could just have a link on your bio, like, oh, just go to the link in bio and just view that. Or if you need to see the short form of this content, comment, XYZ, whatever that keyword is, and you'll receive the comment in your inbox, right? So yeah, other platforms that make things easier for you with prompts. And if people are interested directly, it could just help automate things for you. So yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I think we're about out of time. You took the whole hour. I'm glad. It was a pleasure having you. Any last words?
Yeah. Hopefully not. But yeah, the last things I want to say is that having a digital strategy can seem overwhelming, especially for the industry, because this is something that consumers are still getting used to. But if you treat it as um, basically numbers, right? If the data says people are hanging out here, then all I have to do is hang out here too. So what does it require for me to hang out here? In the case of we talking about YouTube, it means, okay, rather than having carousels, I now have to do actual videos. And then what kind of videos would that look like? And then you do the research. What kind of videos are my competitors doing on YouTube and TikTok? And you try to mimic those things. And then you post. And then if your settings are right, your hashtags are right, your post can go viral. And your content, obviously, if you're offering everything, each of these things add up to the outcome. Yeah, your post can go viral. For example, with the strategy I set up, I had over 200 people reach out. 50 people did add whatever I was selling to carts, but only about 9 to 10% made the purchase. So that meant only 15 people were in the class. But that was good for me because I was looking at getting 15 to 20 people in the class for the amount that I was offering it for. And so it was fine, right? But ultimately, it had to do with the numbers, people that were interested, and even the fact that people were interested in that comment was social proof for other people to trust in a total stranger that just put something out in less than 12 hours and pay $35 per class, right? So yeah, ultimately, it's psychographics, demographics, pricing, your product or your service, all of these things add up. So these are my last words. Yeah.
No, that's very good. It was a great presentation. I appreciate it. I love the fact that you kind of touched on the whole meaning that everything is tailor fitted, and you really have to get in there and diagnose the business and the people involved before
Yeah.
you come up with a solution, which is a great way to go about things, I think. And yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for watching. And as
Thank you for
always,
hosting.
you can find Violet on telehealthtoday.net, and you will be able to book her an appointment with her as early as November 1st when we launch. So, Violet, it was a pleasure. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for watching. And until next Monday.
Yeah.